Welcome back to Melodic Memories of Lights Monarch. I'm Casey, and wow, I am feeling better. I wouldn't say I'm completely better yet, but if you guys can hear it, my voice is more lively, I feel more alive, and I hope it stays that way, because man, being sick absolutely blows. I wish I could say something other than that about being sick, but there's never a silver lining to it. And honestly, recording last week's episode was probably the hardest one. I'm glad I'm starting to finally feel a little bit better. And just in case, I do have my water filled up because I want to start by talking about some new albums that I listened to just today. They came out on Friday for the most part. There were a few that I did fall behind on, like Fit for a King with Lonely God. That was the first one in full for like an album that I listened to. And to be honest, I wish I wouldn't have slept on them either. Wasn't so much sleeping on them as more of a distraction because when Lonely God came out, I was too busy listening to Hayley Williams, as anyone who listened to my prior episodes already know. Now, I don't need to keep on, stroking Hayley Williams' ego any more than I already have. But truthfully, that album, I know it's not an album yet, but group of singles, whatever, 17 songs, was really good for Hayley Williams. Like, holy shit. Definitely one of my favorite releases this year in terms of like a big just bomb of music. But the one before that, Candy by Cami Kehoe, that one was one that I listened to just recently today. All of them were very overshadowed, mostly by Hallelujah by Black Veil Brides. I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but let me get my bearings as I really want to talk about all of this music that's come out. Obviously, Hallelujah by Black Veil Brides, that was one that I was and still am obsessed about. I cannot wait for new music from them. They are my favorite band. Just have to put it out there whenever I talk about them. I really hope that I can actually get some inside information as we go along, or even more so, just be there for the songs, because I know once that album drops, it's over. Nothing else will matter. Like, truthfully. I cannot wait. It's going to be a great build-up when they actually announce the next single, they announce the album, what it's going to be called, what it's going to sound like. Obviously, we have our few clues. The main thing that gets me the most excited, again, is just the fact that it is going to be the most authentic Black Veil record ever. The most honest, the most just truthful. And that's something that I really, really appreciate when I listen to art, be it by any artist, to be honest. If they are real and true to them, it shines through the music. Even when it's just instrumentals. I know that sounds like, how can that be possible? But when you hear a piece of music being played, you can feel when that person is playing it from their heart. There's a difference. There's a huge difference, and those that know music know. I know I'm preaching to the choir for those that don't know, but anyone listening, y'all should know music, at least to that extent of having it hit you real hard, as it does to me. Now, to get back on track here, because I'm, again, rambling, but I started the day by listening to Candy by Cami Kehoe. This came out July 25th, and yeah, that is how far behind I am. Thank you very much for reminding. But Candy by Cami Kehoe, it wasn't anything that really stood out to me insanely. She's someone that I don't know much of, aside from, I think, if I'm thinking of the right girl, mind you, apologies if I'm not, I do remember there was this girl on TikTok, and she actually played drums and sang. So if this is her, insane. If it's not, I don't really know how I even found her, to be honest. But leave it to Spotify and their countless Discover playlists. Not that I usually check them out, but there was a time there where I was listening to the new releases every single Friday. Don't know how I was doing it. And could I tell you half of the music that I listened to? Probably not. And that's kind of why I stopped. I like actually digesting my music, such as art, rather than just, more content to fill up the slop, Not exactly my thing. But Candy by Cami Kehoe, it was honestly pretty good for what it was. I'm excited to see what comes next because I feel like I need to give her more of a chance. I don't think this music right now is what is necessarily her shining performance. I don't know exactly how to say it. I feel like she has more. She has more to give. And a lot of these songs are definitely to do with being, in love, but in a very toxic way. And I personally can't relate to that right now. I have in my past, as I'm sure all of us have. Everyone's past is different, though, and this is something I could have related to prior. I still can if I put myself back in those shoes, but I really don't want to. It is not a healthy place to be, and it's just something that I didn't fully connect with. But in terms of sound, just general sound, I know I'm not the one to be the exact judge on everything, but it was decent for what it was. Next up was Black Heart by Melrose Avenue and Echo. This one's just a single, not an album, not an EP or anything of the sorts. But this single was probably the weakest of the three. Now, mind you, there are 3 songs on this one single. It goes Black Heart, Reflections, and Body Bag. And the reason why I bring up the other 2 is because I've never heard of Melrose Avenue before, or so I thought. I actually went to look at them, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Logan, my buddy Logan, I believe he showed me them at one point, The Fool and the Beggar, because I had it saved. Don't know why, but something just screams to me it was him. If it wasn't him, it had to have been Paul, maybe even Crystal. But they are a very small band in terms of, well, I shouldn't say very small. They are smaller than most, 350.4K on Spotify. And the reason why I bring up the other 2 singles that are attached to this Black Heart with Echo, that's probably the weakest single on this whole thing. All 3 of them, and that's not even saying it was bad. It's just Echo's rap wasn't exactly as tight as I know it could have been. I hope that he said everything he had to say. Obviously he did. If he released it, art is forever. You got to be concise with that shit. But I would have to say my favorite of the 3 was Reflections, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it's one that caught me off guard so hard. It gave me goosebumps. No word of a lie. Reflections gave me goosebumps, and Body Bag was great. They were both absolute vibes, and the best part was that they were emotionally filled, emotionally charged. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I've never heard of them aside from that one song. I don't know any of their other music, but I liked those last 2 songs enough. If it was just the one, I probably wouldn't have even thought about it, but those last 2 songs I liked enough to go and follow their profile on Spotify. Absolutely wild. That I had no idea who they were, because they are really just right up my alley. Now, before I continue on, I want to jump ahead to one that I feel needs to be talked about, and I want to talk about it sooner in this episode rather than later, so y'all actually hear it. Now, this one is Rosso Corsa. Hopefully I'm not butchering that. I don't actually know the pronunciation, but it's the newest release, is just this Friday, from Violet Night. Now, Violet Night, they are a band that, for me, needs no introduction, but I know they are a bit smaller as well, same as Melrose Avenue. They're at 25.9K, so actually smaller than them. And to be honest, I don't understand why. And the reason I say that is because they are a band that have been around, I want to say, since the early 2010s, maybe even closer to mid 2010s, 2015, I think was their first ever EP, which would have been I Hope You're Well. Very good EP. If you haven't heard it, listen to it, but it's not exactly how they sound anymore. And that's where I found them. So a little bit of a story time before I get into this album. They are a band that I was actually given the pleasure to meet alongside all the other ones at Grizzfest. It was a little festival out at Tumbler Ridge in British Columbia. Rest in peace that it doesn't happen anymore. I really hope that changes sometime soon, because it was great. I only went for the 1 year, unfortunately. I wish I could have went for more. But to be able to play on that stage in such a serene area and just, again, be surrounded by nothing but nature, it's really just peaceful. It's one of the perfect places that I could think to have a festival like that. And it's a shame that it stopped, but that's not what this is about. This is actually about Violent Night. So they were one of the bands that I seen on the list of artists that were going to be there. And the reason that I went to Grizzfest in the first place was literally because I wanted to go see Palais Royale. Now, they're a different band, not really in this conversation, but they played at Grizzfest that year. And they are one of my favorites, of course. And the reason why I seen Palais Royale for the first time was at Andy Black, the Homecoming Tour curtain call, my first ever concert. I wanted to see Palais Royale play some of their newer songs, because at that time they had just released Boom Boom Room Side B, I believe. And I wanted to go there and hopefully hear some new songs. And their set was great, but they didn't play till the next day. The only downside to them was they played only like 30 minutes instead of the full time they had allotted. I'm not sure why. And I don't think there's ever been an answer as to why, but with Violent Night, they were one of the openers the first day that I went. The day after the Battle of the Bands, if you will, because there was I believe on the Friday, there was Battle of the Bands, but Violent Night played the next day, and they were one of the openers for the festival, and personally, I was able to be there, I was able to experience it, and I really loved it. I had an amazing time being able to watch them, and the reason why I was excited for their set was because on the way down, literally, on the way down from Grand Prairie, I guess at this time I was still in a different place, but regardless, for lack of a better term, since I don't want to dox myself, Grand Prairie, all the way to Tumbler Ridge, I listened to Violent Night. I thought I was going to listen to, Palais Royale or maybe any of the other artists, but I was captured and enamored by Violent Night. And I was able to actually see them perform live the very next day. And, long story short, to not draw this out too long, even though it is a very, heartfelt story from what I remember in my memories. But to be honest, to go there and be one of the few people to actually stand up and go to the stage when they played. Because again, at this time, you got to think this was, I believe, 2018, if not 2017. I'm pretty sure it's 2018, but at this point, they had just released their first EP. Their first album was not out yet. They were gearing up to recording it. They had some songs that they didn't have released. They played a few. And I was actually able to meet his mom. And I believe his stepdad was who it was. And they are actually so sweet and nice to me and my girlfriend that I had at the time, where they gave us money to buy the shirts. Like, I had $20 to buy my own shirt, but I didn't have another 20 to get her one, and she didn't either. So at the time, didn't have any way to get it, but since we kind of were talking to them, they literally gave us the money. I made sure, I was like, are you actually sure? Like, 100%? Like, yeah, go get one. It's for a good cause. It's supporting the band. And I was able to buy another shirt. I got that shirt signed and actually got to meet the guys in Violent Night. Different lineup from what it is now, but the one constant is Connor. He is the lead singer of the band. I personally am friends with him. Met him at that show. He's my buddy. I wouldn't say we're best buddies by any means. Life is very busy. I'm bad at communication, especially through the internet, but I would love to reconnect with him at some point. Hope to get him on the show at some point to even talk about this current record that they just dropped on Friday, because it is a very far cry from what they used to sound like. Now, I'm talking about their early days when I first met them and got to have that little heart-to-heart with him, especially over Instagram that night. And long story short, I'm not going to go into the weeds of that because that'd be here forever, but essentially to say, he's a really good guy, really talented musician, and to be honest, I really love their music, and I was able to latch on to it. It helped me through a lot of sleepless nights, and even as I've grown, the music has grown with me. And I was kind of like wondering what this album's gonna sound like, and I was able to get it early. Again, Rosa Corsa or Rosso Corsa, either or, potato potato. Hopefully I can get it right eventually. But I was able to listen to the album a little bit early because I was able to pre-order the album on vinyl. Now, call it a perk of being his friend or whatever. I'm not saying all that I'm saying, though, because I'm his friend. He actually doesn't even know I'm talking about his album. And I just wanted to talk about it right now because I think it deserves the recognition that, well, again, I feel it deserves. Because truthfully, comparing it to their older work, even if you haven't heard it, they are very much of an indie alternative, hell, you could even say a little bit emo band, especially towards their lyrics. Not emo in the sense of like, oh, black hair, eyeliner, like all that stuff. No, but they had the art. Like, it was very clear that they like the theatrics, the art to the sound of music. And personally, I know that my favorite record of theirs was, and I don't know if it still is, I couldn't tell you. I need to go through all their stuff again. It's been too long. But Antiheroes, that was their last studio album, their last full length, rather. And that came out in 2020. Since then, they've been releasing singles here and there. They actually released Daydream Drama just 2023. And personally, I think they just kept on getting better, especially with Daydream Drama. And then to move on to this, from the singles that they've been dropping, into this, if I didn't even think that I heard the singles. I know I did. I very much know I did. I heard all of them and I knew exactly what I was getting into in terms of those. But while listening to them in the context of the full-length album, which by the way is way too short, there better be a deluxe edition. Come on, Connor, please. For not just me, but the fan base. Like, come on, give us some more, please. Granted, give it a while, of course. Let it cook, but I know that you said publicly that you recorded or wrote at the very least like 100 different songs. That if that's the case and you picked the best ones, there had to have been some that you were like, damn, I wish this could have made it. Those few or handful, however many there were, please put them on like a, even if you don't want to do like a deluxe edition because it isn't very like artistic, as Tyler Joseph himself from 21 Pilots said, it makes you think of like fast food instead of an album, instead of something art. So anyways, I shouldn't complain about what you're given and what you haven't, but it would be lovely to hear more of this because I was left wanting way more than you gave. Not saying I wasn't happy with it all, but I was definitely left wanting more, which is a good thing. It is a good thing. Anyways, back to the beginning. With this album, I personally think that they are probably the most mature sounding they ever have sounded. Like, I don't know if I want to say they have found their sound, but this album, there were moments where I'm like, oh, this song kind of sounds like, you know, so-and-so. Not to name any names particularly, because I would have to actually listen to it again and write them down while I hear it. But personally, it felt the most honest and sincere of a record that you guys have made before, that Violent Night has come out with. And in saying that, that is a very grand thing to say, because their last albums, alongside just music in general, everything that they've released, has been so emotionally charged, so emotionally fueled. But this time, maybe I shouldn't say it is the most that they've done, but it is most certainly the most refined that all of those motions have ever come across. And I was honestly, again, left wanting more. I very much liked the album itself, and I'm excited to see what this leaves for the band, because I personally think this one, out of all their music, as much as I had the bias of like, oh, I want this to go somewhere, oh, I really think this should be noticed, this one in particular, not saying that everything I said about the other albums in that sense in past doesn't mean anything, because it does, it still stands. I'm just saying, like, mainstream wise, everyone else out there, the people that listen to music not as intensely as I do or have different likes or whatever, I truly think this album sounds just in a different league, especially compared to the older Violent Night stuff. Truthfully, I think they knocked it out of the park with this, and I'm excited to see what everyone thinks about it, especially anybody listening. If you liked the album or haven't even heard it, want to go check it out, please do so. Not even just for me, but for the band to get noticed and get some more followers, because truthfully, they are a band that deserves it. Not only are they humble people, as I do know them personally, not the best, of course, as I said, we're friends at least, but even more than that, just on a music front, on a band standpoint, they have talent and they're showing it here. They're showing their diverse, like, they're showing that they're able to be diverse and change, and not only just change, but adapt to how they feel within the times that they're writing this. Like, I don't know who exactly is writing every last bit of the lyrics or every last bit of the instrumentation, but truthfully, I very much enjoyed it, and I can't wait for more. Because I know there has to be more around the corner. I did see that there was supposed to be a tour announcement soon, so hopefully that comes within good time, of course. But I just wanted to talk about it here and make sure it's been noticed for anyone listening, because I think it's an album that really deserves the spotlight. I wouldn't say it's my favorite record of the entire year yet. I don't even know which one that would be, to be honest, as in full-length record, but I very much liked it, and I was very surprised by it because it sounded brand new, even though I had heard the singles before, which is insane to say, as I know this album had been building for quite a while now, especially behind the scenes. So well done, Connor, and well done, Violet Knight. You killed it, and I cannot wait to see what comes next, where the live shows bring you, and what this entire album brings you in the future. Now, the next album that I was actually able to check out after Candy and Black Heart was Refuge and You're Alive by Illenium. Now, this had some features on it, Norma Jean Martin and Wild on the separate songs, as well as it also included In My Arms by Hala. I had to mention this one because I listened to it today and was actually very upset that I passed by it. Again, this one was mainly because of Hayley Williams. Truthfully, I slept on this. I didn't so much care for Refuge, but You're Alive? What an amazing message for a song to have. Just truthfully, it was so good. My God. Like, again, just if you can listen to it because it's better than me explaining it to you in these rambles, but it just gives the message of you're alive, live it. Like, come on, man. Amazing song. An amazing song. Just full of hope, and truthfully one that I think anyone who's anybody should listen to, because you gotta remember, you're alive. Next up, Lonely God. I brought it up in the beginning of the episode, and I'm talking about it now. Lonely God by Fit for a King. Now, this album, I listened to in full for the first time today. I know I slept on it. It came out a while ago. Not terribly long ago, but August 1st, all the same. Been a little bit. So, the album itself, I was shocked. Like, I was actually very shocked by the way that it sounded. Like, I knew it would be heavy. I knew it wasn't going to be anything, like, you know, to kind of turn your nose up at. Like, it was very much going to be a heavy metal record. Metalcore, if you will. But I was shocked. There was some songs on here that really just threw me for, like, a loop. Like Shelter, Fit for a King, Shelter. That one was so good. Just absolutely emo-filled and left me with goosebumps. There's no other way to put it. Looking for Shelter, Protect Your Heart, Lost My Heart Inside of a Hurricane. Like, the lyrics, the lyricism in it, the song itself, like, it's all about just finding that shelter and wanting to stay safe even though your heart is broken. And then the next one that really stood out to me was Between Us. Devastation and absolute heartbreak. Like, wow. Some of the lyrics where you gave up on us because I wasn't enough. I thought that it was originally about getting better, but it's also not only about getting better afterwards, it's feeling and processing that pain, but letting yourself sit in the sorrow as, you know, what else can one do? So it really just hit me in the heartstrings, and that's the ones that I'm kind of wanting to highlight here because they're the ones that meant the most to me. They're the ones that stood out. Everything on this album was really good, but these songs that I didn't really expect, usually in a metalcore album, you're like, oh, you know, there will be emotional songs, but they're more towards the end. But in this case, it was like scattered throughout. I really liked that. I really liked that it kind of broke that norm and was a return to form for Fit for a King, like where they really tried hard and it paid off. And then the other one that really caught me off guard, or at least that I noticed a lot of, was Sentient. That one I really liked. It was a heavier one, of course, but the lyrics for it, if we're meant to suffer, why can't I feel anything? Like, learn to feel the pain to become sentient. I don't even know how else to word what I feel about it other than it just was real and spoke to me. And that's the best thing about music, or at least one of the best things, as I say all the time. Music is amazing and it deserves a place in everyone's life because it's able to say these things that anybody just thinks. Everybody thinks. We all think these things that these songs are able to put into words, even if we don't have the proper words to say. They're saying it for us and we can feel it. And if they're not saying it, we can feel it throughout their voice, like the way that it's sang, the way that the instruments are done. Like, again, it's so much emotion. That's music, man. Music. The next one that I'm only going to touch on really quickly, because I actually did not like it, was All My Women by Falling in Reverse. To me, it was another All My Life, and I think that's exactly what they were going for. It's a song Falling in Reverse did with Hardy. I didn't so much care for it, and that's kind of all I have to say about it. Next up was Never Gonna Stop Us with Echo, another song by Aurora Wave, I believe is the artist. I didn't really care for that one either. Echo's verse in this one is way better than he did on Blackheart, mind you. But the artist Aurora Wave, go check him out if you want. But I personally did not like the song. Kind of gave me reggae vibes mixed with metal or rock at least. It wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't exactly for me. I didn't personally like it. And other than that, I think Echo kind of slapped on his verse, but not too terrible. Next up, though, one that actually got me in the feels hard, like so much so I had to listen to it a couple times in a row. Cave Town. He came back. Fucking Cave Town with Baby Spoon. Now, kind of a weird name for a song, but in context of the song itself, wow, makes complete sense. It's just very much a love song mixed with some insecurities and just wanting to be that person's, lack of a better term, baby spoon. As, you know, I'm assuming he has a partner, or maybe if he doesn't, he just wants to be that for somebody and doesn't, you know, the song is about questioning whether or not you are that, like, enough for that person to be that most important thing, a baby spoon. Like, just precious. And honestly, the song, it gave me goosebumps. It made me tear up a little bit. I really liked it. And Cave Town never really misses for me. I don't know all of his stuff. I don't really, you know, again, I followed him since I was able to see him live, but I'm not an OG Cave Town fan as much as I would love to say that I am. I really liked this, and I'm curious to see if this is going to lead to something like a new album. I know that's a little too hopeful for right now because nothing has been announced. I don't know if anything's been teased either, but it is a very good song and makes me excited for the future. Now, the next thing I wanted to mention right before I get to the last few things here, because I'm saving the biggest thing for last. I actually tweeted about it. So if you follow me on Twitter @LightsMonarch and on all socials, actually, because I believe I posted about it on everything, I'm saving the best for last. So this next thing I wanted to mention, you know what? Let me get this out of the way really quick. Corner of Your Mind by Arrows in Action. Very good song. Don't know why it was released. And this is a conversation I would love to have because just why? Why are we releasing so much? They are going to be having an album come out soon. Couldn't tell you when. I think in the end of September. Why did you release a new single? Arrows in Action, every other band doing this, literally the next artist that I'm going to talk about, which is Not Enough Space, Don't Let Go, their new song. Why? Why are you guys releasing like 7 singles from an album that might have like 11 songs? Like, granted, that's just me saying for Not Enough Space. Arrows in Action have released way more. Their album's going to come out, they'll have 2 songs that are new. What's the point? Like, I know I might be in the minority. Obviously, I am, because people like that hype and instant gratification. But what is the point? Let it build. Let me feed when the album comes out. Like, I know that I might be a little bit old-fashioned in that sense, but it seems to be either one or the other. One drastic, one thing or the other. Like, it's either you give us way too much and we're overfed with songs. And I'm not calling out any specific artists. Let me say that right now before I really get into this. I'm not calling out any other artist, not any specific artist, rather, but I'm just in general in the music scene. It seems to be that it's either we get fed like way too many singles from one piece of work, or we get them trickled out. Like, think of like Falling in Reverse, what they did with Popular Monster, their newest record. Or even now with Black Veil, how they've released, one song here, now Hallelujah. Like, it's years in between singles. And even Bring Me the Horizon did this similar thing of it taking forever. Now, I will say, first and foremost, one should never rush art. There's no way to do that. And once you rush it, it becomes something that is not art and something more akin to, I think Rick Rubin said it himself, commerce. It just becomes unauthentic and feels very pandery. So everything I'm saying, take with a grain of salt, but I don't know why there's no middle ground. Like there used to be. There used to be, hey, here's a single. We're going to wait a month. Here's another single. We're going to wait another month. And then here's the album. Or another single and then the album. Like any artist that releases more than 3 singles, I don't truly understand, because don't you want people to be there to listen to the new record? In my mind, that's what you make an album for. And if you're not making an album for that sense, for that reason, why not just stick to making singles? It's cool to have a full work of art at the end of the day, but if you are just making a bunch of singles, you could just put it in a playlist together, or make it, here's the singles over the past 5 years, and do an actual, like, play on words with the title and release it that way. Like something clever to break the norm of this random kind of, like, I don't know if TikTok is what inspired it or what exactly it is. And I know I'm going on a rant here on my own, but I just wish there was a different way of doing things, or at least a way that was a little bit more like how we had in the past. Instead of releasing, here's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different singles, and sometimes the album only has 10 tracks. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? Like, I love the music. I do want more. And I know that I shouldn't be picky because, beggars can't be choosers, but it just kind of feels weird. It feels wrong. Like, I'm going to be getting to listen to Arrows in Action, and I will have already heard all of it, aside from 2 songs. Like, I know that it's still exciting that an album is coming out, and maybe it can be more of the, it's physically in your hands now that we're in such a streaming era, but it's unfortunate that that's the way that music has kind of gone, and people just continuously want more. They're never happy with it, and they always want, they just always want more, and instead of just sitting there being happy with something, that's why we get a deluxe edition instead of like a year or 2 later, we get it a few months later, like. And that even goes back to me talking about Violent Night earlier. I don't want that. I don't want in a couple months to have that deluxe edition. Yeah, the album was very short, but I would rather it be artistically filled and, after a year's time of sitting with the album, or in this sense, since it was such a shorter one, maybe a little bit less time, but for people to just release things like this, like a revolving door, without actually giving it time to sit and people to appreciate it, it just feels like slop. Not saying that's what it is by any means from any of these artists. It's just a vibe that it gives, rather than, you actually have to look through and listen to it to hear that it's not. But I feel like it might in some cases be. Some artists might just be doing that because, the TikTok algorithm, I need to get on it. And it just is unauthentic and doesn't make me happy to be a music fan. And I know that's just my gripe, and I mean, you're here listening to this long, this far in. Obviously, you like my opinion, but I would love to know what everyone else thinks about that, because truthfully, it's something that has been on my mind a little bit. I wanted to talk about it. I didn't expect to talk about it right now, but here we are. Now to get back on track again, the album that I was going to talk about, Lost Americana by MGK. Now, Lost Americana, MGK, I don't really know exactly what to say about it other than wow. And that's something I didn't expect to say from MGK. Granted, I am not an MGK hater. I actually enjoy his music. Not everything, mind you. Let me, big old asterisk there. Not everything, but I do very much enjoy his music. And the music that I personally enjoy of his, actually, is Tickets to My Downfall. Now, that record is the album that not only got me into MGK, but I'm sure a lot of people, it kind of shot him into the spotlight, for better or for worse. And it's an album that I actually made my summer. It was the soundtrack of my summer, if you will. You know how people have those albums that are the soundtrack to their summer? Yeah, that was mine. And personally, I very much liked it, and I was there for Mainstream Sellout. I very much liked that one, not as much as Tickets, but odds are, you know, if you like the one, you're gonna like the other. They were kind of the same album. If you look at it with that kind of lens, they were very, very similar. And he kind of went into obscurity after that. Not necessarily complete obscurity, but he definitely lost himself. And if you were following him on his socials and his life through what we are able to see as the public, he definitely lost himself and was dealing with a lot. And I'm not going to get into the MGK story here because we do not have enough time, as I've already rambled on enough. But this album, to me, came off as one of the most raw and honest albums I have ever listened to from MGK. And that's saying a lot because I know that he is somebody to be honest, or at least more recently to be honest. And that's what I heard about this. That's what I felt with this. To be honest, he's telling his complete truth. And I was left feeling hollow like an empty husk. I related way too much to almost all of that. And truthfully, it got better as the album went on. But I was shocked. I did not think that I would like this. I didn't like Cliché when it first came out. It grew on me. Vampire Money I thought was generic. It grew on me. And those were the only two singles I heard. I didn't care to listen to Miss Sunshine because I knew the album was coming out. I was going to check it out anyways. And I'm glad that I waited because I'm not somebody that likes listening to a lot of singles. If you listened to my rant just earlier, you know. But this album itself, the last half especially, man, it just some of the most honest, best, and real songs I've ever heard from him. And I want to just say, MGK, you did it, because I literally needed a moment before moving on to the next album while I was listening to all of them. Because I had every album like ready to listen to. I needed to sit and wait because those last two songs, and mind you, I have cried to MGK before. I know that's probably a weird sentence to hear, but his Location Sessions, I was going through a really tough time when he released that on streaming. And right now, I would have to say I'm pretty solid. I don't think I'm dealing with anything that I don't know about, but I mean, knock on wood, of course. But I do have to admit that I cried, like hard, heavy cried, to those last two songs. And to make sure everyone knows what songs I'm talking about, those were Treading Water and Orpheus. I think the best part of the album, honestly, starts with Indigo. Indigo, Starman, Tell Me What's Up, Can't Stay Here, Treading Water, Orpheus. That last half. I don't really want to say much more about it because I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to give it away. I think that anyone who's anyone, if you like pop punk, especially more poppy pop punk, I would have to say, give it a shot. And even some rap, because you know MGK does rap and hasn't in a while. But regardless, rambles aside, I'm kind of getting lost, train of thought, getting lost here because I'm thinking about the album. I really liked it. And I'm going to be as honest as that is. I really liked it, and I think everyone should give it a chance, even if you're an MGK hater, because it has some warrant to it. It feels like, yeah, maybe something that would play on the radio or just, again, be more mainstream than what you might like. But he has something to say, and he is saying his complete truth. And that is probably the best part about it. He's being honest. He's writing the music he wants to write while not hiding behind any sort of persona or I'm better than you or whatever he used to in the past. He is being completely honest and real, and that is something alone that I cannot get enough of. I very much like that album, and I cannot wait to listen to it some more so it can really sit with me. And maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll come back to it and talk about it some more, or maybe it'll even make my top albums of the year at the end of the year. I don't know yet. Time will tell. Now, to end this episode off, 2 last things I wanted to mention. I guess 3 last things. And I'm going to start with the last song that I wanted to talk about. Specifically, the one that I was the most obsessed with over this past weekend. And the reason why I didn't listen to any of these albums on Friday and listen to them all today was because of Bad Omens. They are back without any introduction. They're back with Spectre. Now, this new song, Bad Omens, Spectre, came out on Friday. And to be honest, I wrote down my thoughts really quick and actually tweeted them, posted them on socials as I had mentioned. And I want to talk about them here with you. So first off, on Twitter, I want to read what I wrote because I think I wrote it the best there, and I will talk about it a little bit more here. My quick thoughts. The new Bad Omens made me cry and was far too short, but damn, I'm so intrigued and so ready for whatever may be next. Do you feel love? And then I followed it up by saying, just realized it's 4:34 minutes long and can say it feels far shorter. I thought first listen it was close to 2 to 3 minutes long. Glad I was wrong. A wondrous revelation, and it left me wanting so much more. The lyrics, their sound, I'll be spinning this one for a long while. And that's just the song itself, because honestly, I feel like with this momentum, I know that they're perfectly capable of even more in every way following this song. You can literally hear it in the song and how it builds. They're building something bigger. And I could be wrong in saying that, of course, as well. I don't actually know. I have no insider knowledge. It's all just what I heard from the song. But wow, is it ever emotional. It gave me goosebumps. It made me cry, as I had said. And personally, I've sat with it since and just, it's grown. It made me want to go through, and as I said, this whole weekend is only one song. I listened to everything of their whole discography again, multiple times over. I really like Bad Omens, and I know that is my bias shining through as always, but I do have to say, even with my bias, this song is one that caught me off guard for one, with the little mysterious posts they were posting beforehand on their socials. But I was there for the YouTube premiere, the actual music video. The music video itself was really good. It has has something to say. And I think it's building into a world because when it started, it said the film. I don't know if they normally do that. I don't usually watch their music videos, and that's me being honest. Usually I just listen to the songs. But very excited, very intrigued, and I'm very happy that Bad Omens are finally back. And this song, the way that it sounds, please give me a Sleep Token feature. Like, the instrumentals, I tried to fight Paul on saying this because he said it sounded like a Sleep Token song. I don't think it sounds like a Sleep Token song, mind you. To some extent it does, yes. There are themes and elements that both bands share. Bad Omens made it their own because their version of a breakdown and their screams, especially Noah's voice, you can't mistake it. But instrumental-wise, I feel like they would do beautifully, especially with Noah being the highs and Vessel being the lows, if they were to do music together. Even if just one song on this upcoming project that Bad Omens might be working on, or a deluxe track for even in Arcadia if we get a deluxe version. Whatever the case is, please make something together. Bad Omens and Sleep Token, please. And I'll end in saying that. So the next thing I wanted to just touch on really quick, 21 Pilots, holy hell, they're on their way back. Don't know exactly when, but they are being very cryptic online. They actually did a little bit of a live stream that got canceled. They posted a music video that got pulled, or at least a video on YouTube. Can't say it was a music video. I believe it was a music video premiere, though. And that is very exciting. They're on their way with a new single for their upcoming album, Breach, which is just around the corner, mind you. I cannot wait, oh my god, to see them live as well. It's going to be insane. And to know that we're getting another single is very, very exciting. And lastly, Taylor Swift. Era 12. Album 12. It might be right around the corner. Because today as I'm recording this, and I was actually called and told about this because my fellow Swiftie fan, Tana, she called me and was very excited because I guess Taylor Nation posted about Taylor Swift, and all of the photos were orange themed, which is supposedly supposed to be her next era color. And she's supposed to appear on the Kelsey Brothers podcast. It says it's a secret guest, but fans, Swifties, they're very, able. They're able to look through the Easter eggs and find the different things and piece things together. Sometimes I know it's just nonsense. Sometimes they're crazy, but I do believe the Swifties are right this time and saying, as all stars are aligning and pointing to it, being new music, a new era, new album probably, from Miss Taylor Swift. And that is something I'm not going to touch on too much until we get more information. I don't want to be a clown as I was with Reputation and waiting for that. But it is exciting. Taylor Swift is going to be back soon. And that in itself is a great way to just hopefully end the year. New Taylor Swift album and 21 Pilots amongst everything that is already released. Give me the Black Veil single, I could go on, and I'm not going to, but absolutely wild. Taylor Swift is back, and for those that don't know, the Warped Tour by Black Veil, their performance at that, Long Beach, it is on their YouTube. Go listen to it. It is amazing. Probably the best live performance I have ever heard them ever do. And I know I've said that many times, but I'm going to beat that horse till it's dead because, wow, they killed it. So honestly, Taylor Swift, Bad Omens, MGK, Violet Night, all of the things I talked about, amazing new music. What a time to be alive. So thankful that all of the music has been hitting, as I was worried earlier this year that we were going to have some hits and misses. I know that is always the case, but as of right now, I'm very happy, and I hope y'all enjoyed my rambles and me not sounding like I'm dying. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for discovering the music within.